X-Men Dark Phoenix, or just Dark Phoenix, it doesn't have X-Men in the title, was actually meant to be the epic conclusion to the X-Men franchise, Fox's X-Men franchise, that had been running strong since 2000. But, unfortunately, the conclusion, which was Dark Phoenix, underperformed, both critically and financially, and sparked a lot of controversy, too. But why is that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. Hi, guys, I'm DPX, and I'm also the in-depth detective. Welcome to the show with that same name. And yes, it's been a while, but today we're going to talk about what went wrong with Dark Phoenix. Before we do that, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, and leave a comment, and you'll be a loyal subscriber. The Dark Phoenix comic is often considered as one of the best X-Men comics ever. In 2006, a movie known as X-Men The Last Stand was introduced with multiple plots, including one of them being a Dark Phoenix plot. However, it seriously botched the whole story, as it only featured the Dark Phoenix story almost as a subplot. Don't worry, that's only one of the reasons, though. However, over 10 years later, a movie that was completely focused on the Dark Phoenix story was released, and you know it, it's known as Dark Phoenix. However, we're about to see how that turned out. Dark Phoenix came out and it bombed. It was filled with flaws. Characters like Charles Xavier are written to be completely out of character, being very egotistical when that's not his character. The villain is absolutely stupid, and the whole thing seemed to fumble with those. Plus, many people found it to be boring, find the pacing to be slow, aside from the climax, which I thought was cool. Not to mention, there's an uncomfortably forced ex-women's scene. By the way, that was because of one man who I need to quickly talk about. Simon Kimberg wrote The Last Stand and wrote X-Men Dark Phoenix because he wanted to do it right. Somewhere down the line, however, he ended up being the director for Dark Phoenix as well. This was also his first movie he had ever directed, and many people were worried. A man who has never directed a movie before, directing what is supposed to be an epic conclusion to a franchise that not only has been running for almost 20 years, but arguably made superhero movies what they are today. Unfortunately, it seemed that the worries were valid as the movie underperformed. However, it's his views of feminism that got into the way of this, and that is the villain problem. I don't want to get too into it because this will become a feminism rant. Perhaps, and this is just my theory, the sole reason Dark Phoenix bombed is probably just because Disney already bought Fox before this movie had even come out. That also means that Disney now owns the X-Men, which also means that the X-Men will at some point be added to the MCU. And I can't speak for other people, but maybe that's just what other people are interested in right now. And considering all the negative buzz around this movie before it had come out, many consumers probably just thought it would be a better idea to just wait for the MCU reboot of the franchise. It's rather unfortunate that this franchise ended the way it did, both in the movie sense, as the movie sort of underperformed in many ways, and in a franchise sense. Maybe it was franchise fatigue, or maybe it was just people wanting to see it this in the MCU. Whatever it is, it will be interesting to see what Kevin Feige does with the X-Men. So, here's the question. Have you seen X-Men Dark Phoenix? Let me know in the poll and explain why in the comments why you picked that one. That'll be this episode of The In-Depth Detective. Be sure to like this video, come subscribe, and I'll see you guys next